The majority of our life is lived in liminal space.
And there's this in-between space, this liminal space.
This liminality that reveals possibility.
I think we're in a liminal moment, but also in a place of transformation.
I have great affection for the church and a troubled relationship with it.
Just to be alive in time means that we're on the threshold of the future.
That can't be the gospel, because God said to love our neighbors.
We don't know what the future looks like. We have to work it out together.
It's like, I see a pattern. You know, something horrendous happens in society, whether it's George Floyd or January 6th or, we just saw it with Minnesota, the murdering and assassination of the senators over there. And there's an immediate knee-jerk reaction to assign that horrible action to the other tribe. Oh, he must have been a radical leftist. He's total Marxist. He's a total whatever. And then the things come out that reveal, no, he's in your tribe. And then there comes the justification. Well, January 6th was just peaceful protest. And all of the justification that follows. So there is the immediate, we all agree this is atrocious. And then we assign blame to each other. And then when it finds out whose camp they're in, then comes the retelling of the story, the retelling of the narrative. All that stuff like comes out. That seems to be the pattern as of late. Yeah. It's that tribalism has gotten so bad to where we can't even agree that January 6th was what it was. When we all saw it, we all knew it, and everyone abandoned Donald Trump in that moment, and we're like, this is crazy. We got to go. And now there's the whole retelling of the story, and everyone on one side is just like, no, it was just peaceful protests. It's like, we all watched it. Like, and then there's you. It was so bad that you said it must have been Antifa. That was not us. We would never do that. And then it came out. No, they were, Proud Boys and all the other folks, and I just find that pattern disturbing, because we can't find the facts. We can't agree that assassinations and murders are bad. We have to blame other people, and then when the blame lands in our tribe that we identify with, then we have to justify it. And it's just, I don't like that pattern we're in. But my favorite line from this one is, wake up, righteous people. Oh. Do what you know to do, what your grandma taught you to. It's like, yeah, like that. Can't we wake up and all agree that what we're looking at is not the ideal that we've been trying to build? It's not beneficial for all society. It's like, no, we're asleep at the wheel because it's like we're all buying into the propaganda of the tribe that we can't agree. Like, this is not just, this is not righteous, this is not okay. And my grandma taught me this, and it's not what, this is not what we marched for. This is not what but that whole retelling of the narrative is how they keep pushing the agenda forward. And it's sad to watch.
Yeah, and I would say that's probably a nod to my other favorite songwriter, Mr. Bill Withers, Grandma's Hands. I think we've covered that song before.
We did do that one.
Because I think, like, no matter where you're from, by the time your grandma becomes your grandma, she's probably pretty cool. she probably would open her arms to anybody, regardless, and so that's kind of I don't think any grandmothers in human history started any wars. I'm not sure. I don't think.
I'll do some research and see, but
I don't want to. Full disclaimer. I think it's fair to say. A lot of grandpas.
Grandpas,
probably not. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of kings did that. Popes. A lot of popes did that. Now there's holy crusades going on in our midst.
Yeah.
Wow. What song you want to do next?
I don't know. What do you got?
I got one in mind, but
okay.
Hold on. Let me pull it up. It's the one where you have this sweet reverb.
Oh,
Not reverb, the delay. Yeah, Fly Like an Eagle. Because I listened to this song, Fly Like an Eagle. I've never paid attention to the lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, we're going to do this one. And I was like, why are we doing that one for Songs of Resistance? And I looked at the lyrics. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I think this one, yeah, I mean, like you maybe, grew up in rural mid-Michigan with classic rock radio, and that's kind of the music you had to listen to.
I grew up in Detroit, but I listened to classic rock.
Yeah, and we would listen to Steve Miller. I always liked his music, and I'm trying to think the era. This song would have come out, I think.
This would be Vietnam, right?
It would be in that era, like late '60s, early '70s, so era of Vietnam. And it's crazy when you dig into these older songs and you're like, man, they had this problem. You're like, we're singing about the same thing over again.
It still applies.
Yeah. So anyway,
half a century later, this song is still very relevant.
Yeah, I don't know Mr. Miller personally, but I kind of get the gist of what the song is about. Is kind of like recognizing there's a problem and almost like let's get above it. That's how I think of Fly Like an Eagle. We get above it. So,
yeah.
So yeah,
this is another call to action song too.
Yeah.
Second verse is like, that's the thing. I was like, whoa. Feed the babies, shoot the children, house the people living on the street. Like, whoa. Yeah, I never listened to this lyrics. I've always just paid attention to the beat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When I was, 17, doing whatever things I shouldn't have been doing in Saginaw County, driving around, we weren't really listening to the words either. But hey, sometimes the music gets you first, and then you can. Yeah. When you're ready to hear the words, you hear the words.
In my case, like 30 years later. Well, all right, let's see if I'm fully caffeinated.
Does that sound? Yeah, that sounds right.
Is that? Yeah.
Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, ride through the revolution, feed the babies, can't get enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. How's the people living in the street? Oh Lord, there's a solution. I wanna fly like an eagle through the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, ride through the revolution. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, ride through the revolution. All right.
Like that harmonic on the end?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, that was good.
Sweet.
Yeah, I had no idea this was a resistance to Vietnam song. And I guess that era, I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of, I'm going to, I don't know. That's kind of my disappointment somewhat today. Like we talked about Jesse Wells as a folk singer who's kind of becoming YouTube Insta famous, as the kids say.
Yeah, Insta famous.
And, you know, I think of, I don't think we have it on the list today, but, you know, think of the, is it What's Going On? The album, the Marvin Gaye
Marvin
album.
Gaye, What's Going On?
Like the whole album, it's amazing. And it's like, we have all these popular artists today, and that's my thing. Where's Marvin Gaye? Where's Steve Miller? Where's, you know, even one of these days, the Tom Rople Band's going to learn War Pigs. Black Sabbath. I mean, listen to War Pigs. That's probably my favorite anti-war protest song, and people probably don't take the time to listen to the lyrics. You know, it's like, are we singing these songs today in popular culture? And I'm not going to name any names for like who the Spotify top 10, whatever, however you want to gauge who the most popular singer-songwriters are. But it's disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah. But I think the algorithms are different today for what's going to drive success. It's not necessarily like people's choices. It's more of what's being offered, you know?
Yeah.
And like if you go onto radio shows, just whatever radio, they're not going to play a Jesse Wells. They're not going to play the voices like a Marvin Gaye. They're there, but they're not being platformed.
Right.
And I don't want to dive into any conspiracy theories about why, but there's probably some capitalistic reason for this. Money making, sure. Keeping people in check kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sure.
But, I mean, Steve Miller said there's a solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could. We are the richest country in the world, and we could provide healthcare. We could provide housing. We could provide living wages for people, but we instead choose to bomb other countries and go off to war. And I had a friend send me a George Carlin comedy thing. He's like, why are we so good at war? Is it because we're well practiced? Like, we do this all the time. We're really good at war. He's like, we can make a pretty awesome bomb, but we can't seem to give healthcare to people. And I think this is like from the, early 90s. Like, it looked like a VCR recording almost. I was just like, man, these problems have just existed, but if the people who have the money and the positions get us all fighting over something that doesn't affect the majority of people, then they don't have to dig into the pockets and provide the healthcare. Like,
yeah, I think that's, for the sake of sounding conspiratorial, I think that's by design.
Yeah, it's not conspiracy. It's just how it's designed.
If you keep the lower classes fighting against one another over, identity politics and whatnot, then you can get away with dropping bombs. You can get away with, massive tax cuts to the upper 1%. Because what are we going to do about it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's frustrating. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, nationally, we throw our hands up in the air and we're like, nothing. But then locally, my church that I look after, like, we are heading up a food bank that tries to take care of the people. We try to keep a benevolent fund there for financial emergencies. Try to be a non-fundamentalist religious presence, talking about loving your neighbor and not identity religious stuff. And so, like, you take that hopelessness of looking at the global national scale, and then you bring it back down to the local and say, what can I do about that here in my sphere? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I do have a little bit of influence and control over a certain sphere. Very concerned about things going on. I can't, stop people from bombing Iran, but I can feed people right here in Lynxburg that need a meal. It's like,
right.
You got to bring your action local. You can be vocal about the national, and like we are right now. We're talking about big national issues, but the action comes like in the people around you. Like, this, we can do this. There's certain things at our disposal that we can make use of. I think that's when the church is operating as it should, is taking care of the local neighborhoods, and not getting all caught up in national identity, folk religion, social identities, whatever, all that stuff that we then use to define who's in and who's out. I just think we lost our way.
Yeah. And again, by design.
Yeah. By design.
By design, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.